Recognize the member from Saskatoon University.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I wish to thank my colleagues for this welcome. I am humbled by the opportunity to represent the constituents of Saskatoon University during this 28th sitting of the Legislature. I am pleased to offer my support to the speech from the throne, but first I'd like to take a few moments to recognize some of the people whose help and support enabled me to be here. Mr. Speaker, since the beginning of this journey, my partner Donalyn Thorsteinson has been my source of strength and encouragement. I am sure all members can confirm that running for public office is not for those faint of heart. Perhaps no one knows this more than our spouses. Since my nomination 18 months ago and throughout the election period, my partner has been by my side, and I want to sincerely thank her for that. She has taken on every role that has been asked of her: mother, manager, scheduler, volunteer, cook, and supporter. Without her, I would say that the task would have been very daunting and perhaps even insurmountable. Every person who runs for office knows that we are but the tip of the iceberg, the part that people see, but we all know that 90% of the iceberg is underwater, and most of the work is done behind the scenes. Donalyn has been in that part and much more of the iceberg. Thank you, and I love you very much. To my mom, Jonah Lawson, who has the amazing ability to both keep my spirits up and yet take me down that notch when I needed it to keep me humble, thank you. It is going to be a tremendous journey, and I love that she's a part of it. She has been the rock my entire life, and I know that without her and her support, this journey would have been very different. She has been able to keep all four of us kids on the straight and narrow, and we've all kind of turned out all right. For her leadership and her strength, I thank her from the bottom of my heart. Mr. Speaker, if there's one job in the world that supersedes all others, it's the role of parent. I have the good fortune of being the father of 4 great kids. They are all unique and special to me in their own way, but I can tell you that I couldn't have done any of this without their love and support. Connor's my oldest and he's 18. He's graduating this June from Walter Murray Collegiate, I hope, and will be entering the AST program at Sask Polytechnique. Connor has been a source of immense pride and joy for me. He's always willing to lend a hand, be a support, and do the job that needs to be done. As a parent, it's such a blessing to hear someone else praise your child. This happened on election day as one of our volunteers told me just how proud I should be to have Connor as my son. He was polite, courteous, and very helpful. Although you hope you've succeeded as a parent, you're never quite sure how good a job you've done until you hear it from someone else. I'm very proud of him. Our 3 youngest children attend my alma mater, École Cardinal Léger School. Thankfully, the teachers and administrators are all new since I attended, or our kids probably wouldn't be able to catch a break. I spent a little bit of time in the office when I was attending there. Abigail is 11 in grade 6. Although it isn't cool to like anything your parents do, Abby thinks this politics stuff is pretty neat. She's also a good humbler, as she takes me down a peg whenever my ego gets too big. She reminds me that it's hard work, not showmanship, that is the true value of a leader, and that in order to be a success, hard work is the only path. I enjoyed walking and talking with her all those evenings on the doorsteps. It was a special kind of bonding time for us, and I love her for sharing her time with me. Mr. Speaker, Danielle is 10 and in grade 5. She's quite the kid. Very smart and athletic. She's always willing to jump in with both feet into any challenge. Whether it was trying to say everyone's name exactly right while we were out door knocking, or being at every rally asking a million questions, Danielle was there for me. She's a special kind of cheerleader. Having someone that young who is so engaged is also very humbling, and I love her for that. Rebecca is the youngest. She is 8 and in grade 3 in Ms. Shepard's class. Her class is super fun, and I visited a few times during the last year, Mr. Speaker. Bex is a cutie and was a good worker throughout our whole campaign. She had some very good questions and concerns that were very well thought out and sometimes really hard to answer. I'm sure she'll make many trips to her legislature in the next 4 years, and I hope I'm up for that. She is smart and inquisitive, and I love her for that. To my team, under the leadership of my campaign chair, Michael Koros, I was truly blessed by your hard work and support. Your notes of encouragement and endless efforts mean more to me than you can imagine. Our team included a large youth component that were so exuberant to the cause, kept the whole team energized, and for many of them, voting for the first time only confirmed why I made the decision to run for public office. Mr. Speaker, all of us know that it is very humbling to have people, some of who you've never met, come out and volunteer to help you get elected. Every time we would head out the door for knocking, even in the dead of winter, there was someone giving up their time to move forward our goal. So thank you to the Saskatoon University Board and all of our volunteers, some of who I'm sure I'm going to miss here, but I'm going to try anyway. Here we go. So there was Ron, Sophie, Edna, Sharon, Al, Gerald, Bev, Iris, Judy, Rod, Elias, Preston, Angie, Nick, Mary, Randy, Loren, Tiffany, Eden, Rode, Katie, Preston, Ross, Monica, Lana, Frank, Thomas, Mahad, Winston, and Zach. I'm truly blessed for all you have done and all you will do for me. Mr. Speaker, I believe we're the only constituency who had volunteers ranging from 2 to over 101 years of age. Mr. Speaker, I can never express enough my sincere gratitude to the people of Saskatoon University who have given me their support and their trust. I give them my word to do all that I can to represent them with the respect and honour they deserve. Mr. Speaker, my journey began not unlike many others. I was born in Saskatoon, raised and educated in College Park. I am the son of teachers. My father was an elementary school principal in Saskatoon for 28 years and retired in 1997. My mother was a teacher for 27 years and retired in 2003. We were never rich, but we never went without anything either. Summers were spent at Chittick Lake, where my family built a cabin in 1977. I am the oldest of 4 siblings. My oldest sister, Claire, is a teacher in Calgary with her husband, Cam. She's the mother of 2 super kids, Bridget and Henry. My brother, Glenn, works for Revenue Canada with his wife, Jennifer, and is the father to 3 great kids, Anna, Sophia, and Joseph. My youngest sister, Erin, lives in Calgary and is a geological engineer and project manager. We were all blessed with great parents who always had us as their first priority. Mr. Speaker, after high school, I was one of the fortunate ones who got to stay here and attend post-secondary education. Many others in my graduating class at Holy Cross High School received luggage for graduation and headed to Alberta. That's what we did back then. We graduated and headed west because there just weren't opportunities here. I entered the U of S expecting to go into education because my parents had, and I hoped that in 4 years I could graduate and use my dad's pull to get me a job in Saskatoon. That was my goal. That was my hope. I was very short-sighted. But I was like everyone else here. Think small, don't shoot high, and settle because you had to. Mr. Speaker, I quickly recognized, and the university recognized for me, that it just wasn't going to happen. So I enrolled, Mr. Speaker, in the Recreation and Leisure Diploma Program at Kelsey Syast Institute. I thought if I was going to work at something for the rest of my life, then I better enjoy it. I graduated in 1993 with my diploma, and I got set to set the world on fire. However, Saskatoon, and indeed Saskatchewan, had a different take on things. There was no opportunities here. It was as if everyone had given up on Saskatchewan and its people. Mr. Speaker, it was pathetic. The first job I was offered was in a small town close to Saskatoon, and I remember some of the conditions of employment. I had to move to the town, I had to buy a house there, my contract would be for 1-year terms only, and I had to fundraise half of my salary. This was in 1994, Mr. Speaker, and I was going to be the recreation director. That simply wasn't possible. So I worked 2 jobs, Mr. Speaker, until our first child was born. Then I was fortunate enough to only have to work 1 and referee hockey on the side in the winter. That's what it took to stay in this province, Mr. Speaker. Those nights traveling to Macklin, Blaine Lake, Hafford and Waka, among others, in the dead of winter to referee was extra money that helped put food on the table. We met a lot of good, hard-working people on those nights, and we had a lot of fun, but it didn't have to be that way. I got my start in trucking in 1998, Mr. Speaker. Starting small and working my way up, I eventually landed a pretty good role at a mid-sized family trucking firm in Saskatoon. Things were starting to look up, but not as big as they could have been. Most of our clients were still in Alberta and West. They were the companies ordering equipment and supplies. They were prospering. Saskatchewan was barely holding its own. We were treading water. We were exporting very little and importing even less. All the freight went to Alberta and hardly any was coming to Saskatchewan. Mr. Speaker, that all changed around 2007. All of a sudden, Mr. Speaker, our economy started to grow. People started to move here. Jobs were being created. We became a have province instead of always depending on others. Our attitude became very different. No longer did we envy others for their success, but we asked ourselves, how do I do that too? It used to be when our neighbor bought a new car or truck, the first things that we said were things like, show off, or boy, I wish I could afford something like that, or where did he get the money for that? Now, people were seeing the new vehicles or houses or new clothing and saying, good for him, I want that, and how can I get it? What do I need to do to have what he has? We became happy for others and proud of our province. Mr. Speaker, it was about time. Mr. Speaker, as our family grew and I became more involved in our community, I found it hard to sit on the sidelines. Our community was in need of some lights in our park that would help light the walking path for our seniors and our new mums. So I joined the East College Park Community Association, and we set out to make this a reality. Our small community raised over $32,000 to get those lights, and they were installed in 2012. Along the way, it was noted that our city councillor would be retiring that year and wouldn't run for re-election. So I decided to take the opportunity to help not only our community, but our city as a whole. Through a lot of dedicated volunteers, my campaign chairs, Jocelyn Schreimer and Gary Brosty, I was elected in October 2012 to Saskatoon City Council, representing the fine folks of Ward 8. For a first-time politician, it was like drinking water from a fire hose, Mr. Speaker. It was an excellent opportunity, and I would never trade it for anything, but it was a lot of information very fast. I enjoy helping people, and being a municipal leader is as close to the people as you can get. Whether it was talking about roads, snow, potholes, or taxes, everyone has an opinion about what you should do and has no problem sharing that opinion. The public is very engaged in everything that is done, so you have to be in front of them as much as possible. I love the experience of being so close to the citizens and being in the trenches helping people. I enjoyed and respected my colleagues on City Council. They didn't agree with me all the time, but they all wanted the best for the city. I also enjoyed working with the staff at City Hall. They are all good people who have the city's best interests at heart, and I look forward to working with them again, although in a different capacity. Saskatoon has many needs, and I will advocate for them once again, just from a different perspective. Mr. Speaker, there's no question that it is our Premier and this government that has been investing in cities. From record infrastructure investments to a 173% increase in revenue sharing from when the Sask Party first formed government. That translates to an increase of sharing from $17.8 million in 2007-2008 to $48.5 million in 2016-17. I know firsthand that our government is the right partner for our municipalities. When I started my political journey, Mr. Speaker, I had only one objective: make Saskatoon and Saskatchewan a better place for our children and our grandchildren. I wanted my kids to be able to get their education here, enjoy a career here, and retire here, period. I don't ever want them to have to make the decisions and the choices I did when I was younger. If they want to stay here, raise a family here, and retire here, I want them to have that choice. And we are quickly achieving that goal. Saskatchewan is now not the place to be from, it is truly the place to be.
Hear, hear.
Mr. Speaker, another big piece of Saskatoon University is the University of Saskatchewan. I believe you and all my fellow colleagues can attest to the world-renowned and reputable school that our University of Saskatchewan is. The U of S holds membership in the U15, which is a group of the top 15 research universities in Canada. Highly impressive indeed. Students in Saskatchewan know that the Saskatchewan Party values their talent and have taken several measures to ensure they thrive in this province. The benefits are rewarding long after graduation. High school graduates who attend a post-secondary institution are eligible to receive monies toward their tuition. Post-secondary funding has increased on average, Mr. Speaker, over 7.5% per year, or over 61% since 2007. As well, our popular graduate retention program is to be enhanced as promised in our election platform. This contrasts the NDP record from when they were in government, when they increased funding for post-secondary institutions by just 20% over 16 years, Mr. Speaker, an average increase of just over 1% per year. One of U15's principles is advocating an open, honest approach to tackling complex issues, engaging all points of view, and making difficult decisions. Mr. Speaker, U15's principle perfectly describes our Premier, our party, and our mandate. Our Premier is the envy of the country. While many neighbouring provinces are struggling with high unemployment, market uncertainty, and job loss, our Premier is innovative, well-respected, and forward-thinking. We can all sleep a little better at night, knowing he has our best interests at heart, and will make those difficult decisions that other leaders either neglect or overcorrect, which often leaves those most vulnerable picking up the pieces. Speaking of fixing past mistakes, Mr. Speaker, under the leadership of the NDP, residents in Saskatchewan saw their taxes raised 21 times in their 16 years of power, including raising the PST 4 times and the gas tax twice, while our party has steadfastly delivered record property tax reductions and record income tax reductions. Mr. Speaker, it's no wonder Saskatchewan so overwhelmingly chose the Sask Party to represent them at home on the world stage just a short month ago. Mr. Speaker, some other notable institutions of Saskatoon University is Royal University Hospital and the new Children's Hospital. One simply does not go through life without using the services of a hospital, specialist, or a lab, either for themselves or for a family member. We are fortunate to be able to walk into a hospital and receive world-class care. The Children's Hospital of Saskatchewan will be a tremendous addition to our suite of healthcare options. I have a niece with special needs, Mr. Speaker. People like Anna will no longer have to spend so much time away from home to get the treatment they need. From my family's experience, treatment closer to home would have relieved some of the extra stress that is incurred by all who have to take time away from work, hire additional childcare, pay for accommodations away from home, and not sleep in their own beds. This is an important facility, Mr. Speaker, not only for the patients, but for their families as well. Mr. Speaker, the speech from the throne that we are debating here today shows that our government can be trusted. We are keeping the promises we made during the election. During the campaign, the Premier and our party made measured promises to help keep Saskatchewan strong. This contrasted with the NDP's platform, where they had hundreds of millions in uncosted promises. We are going to move forward, not back. Mr. Speaker, I would like to note a few of the items from the throne speech that are going to have a positive and lasting impact on my constituents. By introducing a new patent box tax incentive, the first of its kind in North America, to create jobs and investment through the commercializations of patents and intellectual property in Saskatchewan, we will foster the entrepreneurial spirit that is very much alive here in Saskatchewan like nowhere else in the world. I think we'll see a lot of ideas coming from Innovation Place at the U of S campus, and I look forward to supporting those initiatives with this new tax incentive, Mr. Speaker. Expanding the 2-for-1 model recently introduced for MRI scans to also include CT scans is another Made in Saskatchewan initiative that can only ensure that people get timely diagnostic care. This is another win-win for Saskatchewan people and another great selling point when people are looking at moving to our province. As our population ages, it is important for our government to ensure that not only are our seniors cared for, but the people providing that care have proper supports as well. Amending the Saskatchewan Employment Act to ensure that those caring for a family member in the final stages of life will be eligible for 28 weeks of leave per year is a common-sense initiative that fits well into the continuum of care and growth plan that our government has followed these past 8 years. Through all these initiatives, we will work to keep the economy strong, to keep the province's finances strong, and to keep Saskatchewan's place in Canada strong by always standing up for Saskatchewan's interests. Whether you have just started growing your family and are requiring childcare, moving out for the first time, sending children to school, or supporting an elderly loved one who is transitioning into long-term care, our party is the only party that can be trusted to ensure Saskatchewan remains strong and continues to benefit its residents. Mr. Speaker, the speech from the throne was a document that I'm prepared to support and keep Saskatchewan strong. It is without hesitation that I support the motion by the member from Saskatoon Westview, seconded by the member from Estevan, in supporting the speech from the throne. Thank you.